ball's well hit to right. I mean, really well hit to right.
That ball is going to go. Daniel Murphy parks it in the bullpen. The Mets have the lead. 1-0 here in the fourth.
Diving stop by Murphy. Gets up, flips to Familia. Out at first.
All the Murph moments have been good Murph moments tonight.
Murphy lines one left field. Base hit. Lagares scores, and the Mets keep adding to it.
More of a just sporting it than a bat flip, really. Kind of like, yeah, this is what I'm doing now. I'm Daniel Murphy.
One hop by a diving Murphy. He's got it. Throws to first. Put it in the box. Daniel Murphy punctuates another magnificent Murphy performance. I don't know what Daniel Murphy is eating or drinking, but I want some.
Welcome into this week's edition of Lawrence Lane, as always presented by Dome Hats. If you need hats for your team or your company, visit them online at domehats.com or go see them in Jack's Beach. I'm here with someone wearing a Dome hat. This would be the one and only Daniel Murphy, a three-time All-Star, went to Inglewood, obviously as the hat shows, went to Jacksonville University, and of course played baseball in the major leagues for 12 seasons. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me.
Cheers, Lauren. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so Jacksonville, born and raised. Mm-hmm. And how proud are you of this city and being from this city?
I'm really, really proud. There were things that this place in this city taught me growing up that I think really equipped me well to be as blessed as I was in my career. And I think further than that with the wife and the children that I've been blessed with. So when I think of Jacksonville, I have a very special place. We didn't leave. And so I wouldn't say it was non-negotiable. My wife's from West Palm Beach and it's beautiful down there, but it's not Jacksonville to me.
Absolutely.
So that was, did work out well that my wife went to UNF as well too. So she got to sample the place. So it wasn't a tough sell, but Jacksonville has always felt like home, and yeah, I like it here.
And you guys embrace the rivalry between JU and UNF. I've seen you at River City Rumbles.
Has happened before, yes. She is staunch UNF supporter, and sometimes I have to go and choke down the swoop on enemy territory. But it's fun. We're able to do it. Not as much with COVID. We didn't get out, but I haven't made a baseball game yet either because usually we're running around. But we'll have to make a baseball game and a softball game since my wife played there.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of that, you're retired now. Mm-hmm. What does the future look like?
Oh, I don't know. I know. Really, really enjoyed this past year. First time not playing baseball, kind of get to pick my own schedule a bit, my own friends for the first time, even though I have many friends from baseball.
Sure.
And it was a really sweet time. I got to know my wife better and date her. I got to attend to my children in a different way that I didn't get to with the kind of 7 o'clock awaiting and wanting and valuing performing well, and what that came with it, which usually was like at least one eyeball was always on the game and one eyeball at home, sometime less than one eyeball at home. And so that was a great time. I realized my kids are awesome. I love them a lot more than I thought as I get to know them better. So,
and as they get older, that helps too.
Yeah. And so we've been able to just converse in different ways that I won't say I didn't have the freedom to do, but my attentions were also drawn in other directions.
Well, and that's what makes a really good professional athlete is to be that focused, not leaving the family behind, so to speak, but being able to put everything you have into your sport. When did you realize, I might be able to play professional baseball?
I think that realization probably came in the summer of my maybe sophomore collegiate season. I went and played summer ball in the Valley League in Virginia, in Luray, Virginia, which is another place, a little small town in the Valley of Virginia, Shenandoah Valley, and it's a special place too. And well, they offered their city, their town, their home, and their bats to me for 2 seasons. And the second time I went through there, I swung the bat pretty well. And I thought, it was with wood. I thought, I might be able to do this. And I wasn't ecstatic about having to go back to class at JU either. So there was also that allure of wanting to go on a different adventure. And then that led into a junior season at JU that we as a team had a really good year and went to a regional. And I fortunately was able to play well and got drafted. And I was going to stay. Nothing against JU because I love it there, but different adventure for me.
Well, and you know, at some point in time, you do realize that you're going to make a lot of money playing baseball and being in.
Hope so.
Well, sure, right? The allure is there.
Well, it's if you're willing to delay gratification, you can hopefully afford yourself a couple opportunities. And I think that in talking to people who have not made it but have been successful in other areas, and those who have made it in baseball, it's like our willingness to sacrifice in the present hopefully affords us more chances to attain the goal that we have, say, laid out in front of us. So I like to hit baseballs. Apparently that was a sacrifice, but I just like hitting baseballs.
Hey, this is Jeff Whitaker with Dome Hats. Do you need custom hats for your team or your business, or you just want to see what we've got for sale in your favorite Florida State or Florida gear? Come on down to the bar here in Jacks Beach. We'll be waiting for you.
Well, and you were very, very good at it. What would you say was your best season?
It's 2016. It's just, man, I hate getting out a lot. And I didn't feel like I ever got out that year, and I know I did, but it just, that was the feeling of it. And my wife tells a story kind of now that she checks the box scores because that was a unique time for us. She couldn't make it to every game because she's got the kids and just, well, life happens. And so we play 81 times a year or two. And fortunately we were on the TV. But she would say she would check the box scores because she could time it when I was coming up. And like, she got in there and saw a couple of bats and I only had one hit that day. She one hit, and she would remember that, well, one hit previously was like, all right, we got one, okay, you know, and so, oh man, this must be a pretty good year. So that one for that, and then the couple weeks in 2015 was probably like an out of body experience because my wife talked about it now as if we know we experienced it, but we didn't talk about it in the moment as much. We just kind of did life with, you know, our marriage and, you know, baseball and the kids. And so now we talk about it in a completely different way.
So when the kids think of you as a baseball player, do they think of you as a Mets player? They
don't think of me really, I wouldn't say, as a baseball player.
Okay.
Usually that happened with my son when one of his friends, I think, they came over to play MLB baseball. And I was like, the old man's on there. They're like, you look different now, Dad. I know I said that, but so that a couple of times my son has had them, maybe an older boys, be like, hey, no, your dad play baseball or something. And kind of, what do you mean? It's my dad play baseball, but he gets it. And then my daughter, because she just sees everything, knows. And then Drew got to go to a couple games. He's the youngest one.
Aww.
And my daughter Quinn, she pays attention to everything. So they know, but not as like a fan. Just kind of like, yeah, we did baseball for a bit, and now we don't.
Now, did you grow up playing travel baseball?
So travel baseball
didn't really exist, right?
Yeah, it was just kind of coming into existence, I would say, in this area when I was leaving what we called midget, which would be Little League, apparently, 11 and 12. And so I had a teammate of mine at the time that went and played travel baseball as we graduated, as we went and did midget. And then as we went in to do, they backed the mountains up, which would be like junior league or something like that, I think, and the bases back up. The field's too big for 13-year-olds, at least for me. I couldn't. Yeah, it was a wild ride. We did that for about a year, rec ball, and then moved to like a travel sort of setup. It was difficult to find the level of competition you wanted. Unfortunately, it started at probably, we used to have senior league, which is probably 16, 17, and then junior league, and all the way down to T-ball. And it seemed like at the top, it just kind of started trending towards the travel, which isn't a bad thing. It left the local parks without older players at it.
And as you look ahead to your boys potentially playing baseball, do you think they'll get into that travel baseball leagues?
My son is on a baseball team now, and it's by definition a travel team.
Okay.
But it wasn't so much that we actively sought it out. It was, I have some friends who are in the youth baseball arena here, and they're like, this is a good team for you, and it's travel. But we stayed locally, and I don't necessarily prefer one over the other. I'd say if you want your son to be good at something or daughter, have them do it. So if you want them to be good at hitting baseballs, have them hit baseballs. It's better if they ask voluntarily, in my experience.
Versus pushing them into it.
It's just better if they ask voluntarily. That's not to say it's always going to be voluntary, and they may ask and not want to finish. That's where I think we get to step in. But in my experience, voluntary action is more beneficial.
That's really good wisdom for all you parents out there with either future star athletes, future superstar athletes, or just athletes, regular athletes like some of us were.
We'll hope we'll all be husbands and wives and brothers and sisters and uncles and friends. So, yeah.
I love it. All right, let's get it to the current lockout that's happening. You have friends, obviously, that still play baseball. How nervous are they about the future of their sport?
I would say I don't talk a lot about this when it comes like the lockout type stuff. I would say from my experience, for those who don't have a job right now, there's certainly tension in your life, in your marriage, possibly with your girlfriend and your children, just because I think we've all experienced that fear of the unknown. Like, things you are confident and optimistic things are going to turn out well, but you don't know because it's the unknown. You've never experienced it. And that would have been my experience in free agency. It's just that fear of the unknown. And the closer you get to the season without knowing where you're going to go, where am I going to live? Where's my family going to live? Where are we going to live in the season? That's just spring training living. How am I going to get out there? Are we going to ship everything? Is it Florida? Is it Arizona? Yeah, there's a lot of angst. And then to add in that we don't have any rules governing our industry right now. Like baseball, there's no rules governing. So there's no transaction because we got no rules. So yeah, I'd say there's some tension.
I would say so too. So spring training may be pushed back, then the season may be pushed back. Why is this sport? Why is Major League Baseball? Based off of things that I'm reading and hearing,
Okay.
that they are so far apart. There's so much strife. And that's really my question is, why in Major League Baseball does it seem like the players and the owners are so far apart, where in other sports, it doesn't ever seem to go into these lockouts?
Well, the other sports are under a cap system, so it's collaborative. So it's a revenue share. So they share everything that they create, if I'm not mistaken. NBA, NHL, and NFL. So the more that the owners and players come together and create, the more they get to split. We don't play our games by that rules.
Because there's no salary cap.
There's no salary cap. And so we, in our history and decision making, have done as much as we can to open up the free market system. And the free market system for baseball is 6+ years of major league service time. That's when you graduate from a team controlling the rights of your human capital, basically. Then you get to go and express yourself on the open market. That's 6+ years of free agency. And so that, in turn, prices are a function of what people are willing to pay if they are not capped or floored like they are in the other system.
Right.
So the owners get to spend their money however they see fit. And that's the game we're playing right now. It seems the players are not ecstatic in the union side about what they would perceive as a negligence of competitive integrity, which I think is probably, I get the sense is the best way to incentivize spending on free agency is to incentivize winning, like a marginal win. Teams appear to be conducting themselves in a way that they would prefer to be around 70 wins as opposed to like 81-ish if it's not going to punch your ticket to the dance. And I'm wondering if trying to incentivize you to be a 78-win team instead of a 77-win team wouldn't be more beneficial to players and also maybe the industry, as I understand that not every single team is going to try to win the World Series every year. That's unreasonable.
Sure, that's
you're going to be at different parts of progression of your organization. It's completely reasonable. It seems that some teams and organizations are sitting out for an extended period of time and are arriving at a very similar place to where they started. I don't know. You're a fan. Like I was a fan just kind of from this one year from the outside, but what is your evaluation or interpretation in regards to what would be considered tanking
Tanking, I would say if you're spending far less than the average amount of other teams spending, and if every year you're losing 100 games, that would be tanking.
Do you feel like it's a problem in baseball that should be addressed?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's from a fan's perspective that is in the industry and watches and pays attention. So I try not to take like firm positions one way or the other, but I think that incentivizing winning is a good thing. And I'll talk with some of my friends who I really enjoy conversing with about the industry, and want to tax. And I was like, I'd rather incentivize in a positive. Not to say taxes aren't, but it's just, you want to compel spending. And like, I don't know, I've been reading about like George Washington, the American Revolution, and he was talking about leading his troops and the people of the Continental Army. And he said that people who are unused to restraint must be led, they won't be drove. And I was like, I think positive incentives. We might not get there. We might just have to go, bare knuckle brawl all the way there and hate each other. And as long as we have baseball from a fan's perspective, like, those guys are really good players. I want to watch them. So.
But yeah, and that's where the salary cap certainly may end up helping. All right, well, we could do this all day, but you have things to do. We have other radio shows to do. But thank you so much, Daniel Murphy.
Cheers.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
That was fantastic. And as always, Dome Hats presents Lawrence Lane. Tune in next week for more.